Good day, everybody. Welcome to Dead and Buried, the next quest in the Fort Forinthry quest line that gives us some major and very fun spoilers into Necromancy. To get started, assuming you have all the prerequisite quests complete, speak to the Raptor at Fort Forinthry. There is some combat in this quest, and it is scaled to your level. It's not difficult at all, but having AoE combat styles will benefit you, like a two-handed melee weapon or magic. You will also need some construction supplies for the next expansion of the fort, the ranger station. You will need specifically 168 acacia logs if you're building all the frames from scratch, and 6 stone wall segments. This guide is timestamped, so if you're more interested in specific puzzles or specific parts of the quest, you can jump ahead, but I have left in all dialogues and cutscenes for the sake of having lore. After you've spoken to the Raptor, go ahead and head to your town hall. Make sure to use this little symbol in the ground, sigil, to continue the quest. You'll see this at various points. They take you to instanced versions of the quest. In this case, go ahead and talk to the gaggle of people over here to continue. Once you're all done with the interview, go over to Bill and talk to him about building the next expansion to your fort. If you've recently built up the rest of your fort or done the other quests, you should be familiar with the construction process here, but in case you're rusty or watching this a while later, you will need 14 Acacia log frames and 6 stone wall segments. The stone wall segments are easy to make. You can purchase limestone from Bill and use the stone cutter nearby. It takes 4 limestone bricks to make 1 stone wall segment, so I get 24 of them. Next, you need to acquire the 14 Acacia frames. The easiest way to get these is to buy them. They may be more expensive now from buying from other players since this quest is new at the moment. The long way to Iron Man this yourself is to get Acacia logs, turn them into planks at the station here, and turn those planks into refined planks. Then at the little spot right next to the station, you can turn those refined planks into frames. It takes 4 planks to make refined planks and 3 refined planks to make each frame, so each frame takes 12 logs. The other quick way to get planks is by talking to Bill and going through this dialogue. He'll just make them for you. It'll just cost you 500 GP per Acacia logs, but it is much faster than making them yourself. Once you've got all that, you can go over to the drafting station and start your Ranger Workstation Tier 1. Then you head over to your next to your guardhouse and you build. If you're not familiar or if you forgot and you're looking for construction experience, build at these highlighted optimal build spots for the most construction experience. Then when your Ranger Workstation is complete, you'll see a bunch of portables probably and a bunch of players gathered over here doing a bunch of work. Somewhere in this mess you can find Sophia, your new guard captain. You can chat with her to check in. I don't know if this is required for the quest, but I just did it anyways. Regardless, your next step is to check in with the Raptor. You will meet the Raptor outside the Crypt, where you grind for greater sonic wave with the armored phantoms and risen ghosts. Now, I didn't know how to equip myself for this quest because it just came out and I did it right on release. I just got some basic combat gear. The only thing that would have helped more is, as I mentioned earlier, some AoE, stuff like magic for fire breath and chain, or at least a two-handed melee weapon. The combat is not hard. I assume it is scaled to your combat level. But anyways, the important part is that you find yourself here with the Raptor fighting risen ghosts. It's not important. He'll tell you to gather construction supplies so that you can build a bridge. So you can follow along here and search all the little crevices and spooky caves to find all the construction supplies you need. There are 9 of them. Once you've searched through a bunch of them or most of them, some ghouls will appear. You can kill them for the last 3 supplies. And once you have all the supplies, simply go back to this hotspot here and build the bridge. You need to push the buttons on both pillars here, and as your character notes from trying one, notes that you will need to push both at the same time. So you can click the Raptor to switch to them and have them push the other pillar, and then your character and the Raptor will push them at the same time. Inspect the door after that, and you'll find something. So you're off to see Reldo, as the Raptor bluntly puts it. Get yourself to Vorkath Palace by any means and speak to Reldo in the library, but again, use the little portal hotspot that you see at the entrance to the library. Don't talk to Reldo directly or you won't progress. So you're in the Raptor's dream, and here you'll have to solve a series of Boulder puzzles. The way you do this is by leveraging the switching to the Raptor action here, and you notice that there is an action button available for you to do this, or you can switch to the Raptor by clicking the Raptor and then clicking yourself to switch back. The Boulder puzzles are pretty easy. They are a little bit tedious. You need to pull or push these boulders into platforms to open the gates as required. You'll note that the Raptor doesn't want to do it themselves, so you have to switch back to yourself in order to pull or push a boulder. But the idea is that as you move, and as you can follow along, the first gate to unlock a boulder requires 2 people standing on the pedestals, the next one requires 3, and the next one requires 4. And since each one unlocks a new boulder for you, you just unlock boulders as you go and push them onto the next pedestals to keep opening barriers. So just follow along. And I know that many of you prefer real-time guides to follow along like this, maybe side by side on another screen, but I apologize, I'm going to fast forward through a lot of this stuff because this is already a very long video and it doesn't need to be that long, so just follow along as best you can. After this cutscene, proceed along the path, and you'll see that there's a new element added to the boulder puzzles, which is that there are these 2 platforms here, and as you stand on one of them, sorry I switched the Raptor there for context, as you stand on one of these pedestals, a new boulder appears, but as soon as you or the Raptor gets off, the boulder disappears. So have the Raptor stand on one pedestal to make a boulder appear, and push the boulder to one of these pedestals. After that, the boulder stays there, it no longer disappears, so have the Raptor move to the next pedestal to make the next boulder appear, and move everything along as so. The last boulder puzzle is similar to the previous one. There's one added tricky element though. This pedestal will make a boulder appear. Sorry, I was wandering around here a bit, but the first one that I stepped on there makes a boulder appear. So go ahead and push that one into place. I'll save you some time and mention now that after you put this boulder onto one of the other three, you need to make another boulder appear, and it actually appears by making the Raptor stand on the very same pedestal he is at now. So just follow along for the rest of the puzzle. That was not the complete puzzle, by the way. That was just a cutscene in the middle of the puzzle. From here, proceed to the house. For this part of the dream, proceed to each little light source, starting with this one, and activate it. There will be a few ghosts of the Raptor that attack you. You need to get them down to low HP, and then you need to switch to the Raptor and have the Raptor finish them off. This will happen several times, and apologies, I didn't know what I was doing here really, but that's the idea. Get them down to low HP, switch to the Raptor, and the Raptor will finish them off. Once you've done that, activate the little light source again, and then continue to the next part of the quest along the path and repeat until you are done. From here, investigate this dragonkin wall over, yeah, there. And anyone who plays Old School RuneScape will get a really cool surprise and spoiler for Necromancy here. Return back to the crypt north of Fort Forinthry. The easiest way that I know of is to just teleport to the fort and then go into the crypt, again using the continue quest little portal. Once inside this new part of the crypt, there's a bit to explore and there are a few rooms with more zombies. Ignore them for now because, as you'll see in a second, you can't fight them. Just go into the central room and investigate the map table. Now here, also take some time to admire the two murals on either side of the room. Again, this has to do with the very fun spoiler. And further spoiler hint, this has to do with a big piece of content that is a staple in Old School RuneScape. So, now that you've got all that information down, go into each of these corner rooms and start killing zombies, ghouls, whatever they are. They will drop the missing map pieces. There are 9 in total. Just go into the rooms and keep killing them until you find all of them, and then return to the map room and interact with the table to fix it and add all the pieces. Here, you'll need to solve the most challenging puzzle of the quest. It is a sliding block puzzle that is a more complicated version of that, which you find in clue scrolls. You can talk to the Raptor for a very important hint, or more of a helpful guide tool. I would say it is actually critical to having a decent time solving this thing. And no, it is not the option to give him 100 million GP to do it for you. It is to turn on accessibility mode, and what this does is it will highlight the tiles in red that are in the correct place. This is extremely helpful as you go through this. Now, I wish I had a super easy solution for you, and I don't know if this is unique to each player. Maybe it's not, and at some point the wiki will have a surefire guide to get through this. But the most I can tell you for now is just the general strategy of how to solve these that is the same as for clue scrolls. So if you're not used to using Alt-1 and doing them yourselves anyways, you'll have an easier time with this. I meddled around here quite a bit and wasted a lot of time trying to figure out where the top of this puzzle is, and spoiler alert, the top is towards the north. That is because a very important part of the strategy of these sliding block puzzles is to start one row at a time, starting with the topmost row. So in this case, you'll see that what I start eventually doing is trying to solve the northernmost row, going from west to east or left to right on my screen. Solve the top row, find all the right pieces, then the next row, then the next. And when you get to the fourth row, you solve the bottom left corner for 4 tiles that are there. And then you solve the rest, the remaining 6. That is the general strategy of these sliding block puzzles. Just do your best, take your time, and it will take you a little bit of time. And now you're basically done with the quest. You go back to Fort Forinthry, you speak to Overseer Civ in the command center, and then you speak to the Raptor again. The rest of the dialogue here is not that important to lore. It's still on screen so you can read it, but I'm going to blast through it because I have something much more important to say. So the big spoiler, now that you've watched this far, and I can tell you, is that Vorkath is a boss in Old School RuneScape that was introduced with the quest Dragon Slayer 2. And there are references here in your conversation with Overseer Civ to Elvarg, how it's an even stronger dragon than Elvarg, whatever. The only reason to throw that in there is to hint or to spoiler that we're going to have something along the lines of a Dragon Slayer 2, or at least the very same boss. And I have an Old School RuneScape Iron account myself, however, it's not that far along, so I have not done Dragon Slayer 2, but I know enough to know that Vorkath there is an undead dragon, too, that has been raised. And it's one of the more difficult bosses in Old School RuneScape, as far as I can tell from other players. So that is super cool. I look forward to seeing that kind of borrowed or carried over content. If you don't know much about Vorkath, definitely look it up. It's pretty cool, and it'll definitely be a big part of Necromancy. Anyways, there you have it. There's the whole guide. Hope this helped. Enjoy.